Okay, so I have just finished the installation of a safe turn system, STS on my Vulcan S. It wasn't that difficult, but I looked for ages for instructions on the internet, Google. I could find nothing, so I thought I would tell you how I did it. Unfortunately, I put everything back together, but I can tell you where I put stuff and how it works, and maybe it'll help you if you're doing the same thing. But of course, before I start flapping about how clever I am, I actually need to go and test it to make sure it actually works, because I don't know yet. So let's give it a spin and see what happens.
Is when you turn the ignition on, the lights are supposed to come on as like a check, your left and right, and it looks like they do. So I'm just gonna stand here, turn on 1, 2. Oh, that one only flicked on very briefly. Actually, there's a better way to check, because it shows you on the dial. Watch this. Boop. Left, right. The right one, just like a blip. Don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but at least they both come on. So let's see how this, what have I done? There we go. Now I'm not going to turn it on now, just because, oh what the hell, left turn. Let's see what happens. Turn, straighten out, and it turned off. Alright, well that's a good sign. Let's turn right and see what happens at this traffic circle. Right indicating, turning, straightening out. Oh yeah, there we go. I indicated out and then it cancelled itself as well. Like instantly. I thought it would take like 5 or 6 seconds. Let's try here. Right turn. Do the turn. Straighten out. And it's off. Oh, it works. Oh, I'm so pleased. No buttons required. Hey, I can be a safe rider. Let's try one. Oh, I'm just going to keep riding around. See if I can get it to brake. No. Oh, I don't remember. That's interesting. I'm pretty sure I pulled the indicator and it didn't come on. Maybe you have to give it a really good squeeze. Okay, but it is easy to check that your indicators are on. You tend to check that more than you check that they're off. So, okay, so left turn, it's definitely on. Let's see how long it's still on. Left turn, and it's off. Okay, now the one thing I'm worried about, of course, because I worry about everything, is that I'm going to forget to turn them off, and then I'm going to take that bad habit through to my GS, which doesn't have one. But that's okay. For some reason I don't seem to do it on the GS. I think it's because the dashboard is higher and the indicator lights are a little bit more obvious, where on the Vulcan here you kind of got to look down a little bit, or just look down through your nose, to the top of your nose. Okay. So now in New Zealand you indicate out, so indicating out, straighten up, off. Man, so that's quite interesting. It's actually sensitive enough to not require a full turn. Now I believe it works also with lane changing, where you're actually not even turning, you're kind of drifting from one lane to the other. So I'll see if I can find a place where I can approximate a lane turn. The road coming up is fairly wide. I'll pretend that I'm on the right hand lane. Okay, so here we go. Right indication, turn into the lane, and it's still on. Oh, off. There we go. So it just took a second or two longer, maybe a second, to realize that I was finished, and then it turned off. I dig it. Hot dog. Okay, my next mod done. What a pleasure. Now, of course, the one thing I don't know is that you can't actually turn it off. There we go. I don't need to, because it's turning off on its own, but I don't think I can actually turn it off. So let's do a little test. I'll actually indicate left, Okay, now I changed my mind. Push it. No, still indicates. So that's tricky. It's still indicating, and I haven't. So that's okay. Now it's gone off. So it stays on for a couple of seconds, and then it realizes you're not going to turn, and it turns it off. So it's still better than driving for a couple of Ks with it on, I guess. Yeah, but that's interesting. I'd prefer it if you could push it and it would still disengage, but I read that that's not how they work, so you just got to get used to it. And indicate out, and it's off. Okay, I kind of really need to watch the road. Left turn. Let's see what it does now when I'm actually waiting at a left turn and I haven't actually gone. So it's still indicating. Then I do the turn, straighten out, and it's off. There's something to be said for something just working the way it should. It works and it's fantastic, and what a good deal for 99 bucks.
Okay, so let me explain to you what I did. Now, I haven't put everything back together again, so excuse all the mess and excuse the missing fairings. I've still got to put them back, sitting over there. But I'm not going to install the entire thing to show you my wiring. But I wouldn't have needed that. I had to figure that all out for myself. But all I needed was someone to tell me where to put stuff, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be putting the box that it comes in, that little box, underneath the seat, or if I was going to be putting it underneath the fuel tank or over there, and I wasn't sure if it was on this side. So what I ended up doing, and what has seemed to have worked very well, I'll show you. You can actually see it from here. There it is. Okay, it's sitting over here on top of a bunch of existing wires. Now my heated handle grips, handlebars are coming through there. This over here, this little metal thing is the booster plug. That's where I've got it. I've yet to see whether that's going to make a difference or not. I'm not sure. But there it is. It's just got a cable tie on it. It's being held down on top of a box. It's supposed to be forward and it's supposed to be roughly horizontal, but I can't see why it needs to be horizontal totally, because it'll still work on hills. Anyway, so what this does is there's a bunch of wires and cables that go back. I took them to about here. I took the tank off and I hung the tank on the side over there, out of the way. And then what I did is, because I have got this jobby installed, I actually have I've got the relay. So the relay is underneath the seat, and what the relay does is it provides switch power to the USB or the auxiliary charger, and it provides a power underneath the seat. So what I did is I ran the cables to here, and then the power cable I ran from the relay here. The black and the red wires went straight into the system, and I just put them with a male and a female and crimped them, and so that means it was on. Then the rest of the wires that come out of this thing, it's quite complicated. There's 6 of them. 3 of them need to go to the handlebar, into the actual switch, and 3 of them need to go into a connector underneath the tank, which is quite easy to find. All you do is you trace it, right? So there's this cable that comes here. It goes down. There it is here. It's this specific one right here. And it goes through underneath to the other side of the bike. And it runs up here. And then underneath the tank, it goes into a connector pin. So I just undid that connector pin. And then I cut the right colors. And the colors were spot on in the book, by the way. For Kawasaki, it was the orange, orange, green, and gray were the ones that I had to cut. And then depending on if I was going to the handlebar or if I was going to the switch, you pick the 3 different colors out of the 6 that they tell you to use, and that worked fine. So I got all of that spliced, used the male and female connectors, had a crimping tool, so you do need a crimping tool. There it is. Okay, it's red, so you use the end one. The crimping tool works really well. I also use that, which is just a wire stripper, but you don't need that. You can use the scissors. And yeah, connected it all up. and then tested it, and the lights came on at the back, which is what I was expecting them to do. And then the last thing I had to do was actually come and update the switch. So the switch is interesting. Inside, there's a white box. And if you bend it all the way down, because the pictures don't really do it justice in the manual, if you bend this half all the way down, at the back of the box, you will see a white switch. When you go on left and right, the little white box at the back goes left and right, left and right. At first, I thought my switch was weird because it looked like none of the ones I'd seen on YouTube. But once you bend it all the way back and you look at it from the back, you will see that white plug move left and right. And all you do is you take the rubber washers or the little black foam things and you put them on either side and then put it all back together. It took me maybe 2 minutes. Can you see the scratches here? That's from when I hung my fuel tank, silly bugger. Anyway, so what that does is it turns this switch into a momentary switch. So when you click it this way, it actually doesn't click at the back. All it does is send a momentary signal and then the system takes over. And then you click this way and it'll do the same. And nothing happens when you push the button anymore. So that's the only downside here, is that if you change your mind, you're going to have to wait sort of 20 seconds, or it felt like ages, but it's probably less, before the whole thing turns off. But otherwise, yeah, I'm pretty happy and pretty stoked. It worked. I took it for a spin, as you've seen. Everything worked well. If you want to do this for a Vulcan S, I couldn't find a YouTube clip anywhere, so hopefully this will be enough. And if you have any questions, feel free to post a question, comment, and I'll let you know any more if you need to know. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Cheers.